I know I've got a lot of wind right now. It's not good. I guess I'll do lots of cuts and such. I'll just keep doing. I'll just do cuts. Cut the wind out or figure out how to get rid of the wind. Like people please, they're always feeling threatened by the fact that they're not loved by everyone, right? Like they need to show complete 100% and above and beyond when it comes to expressing their care for someone, right? And they're doing all these little small little details or overly complimenting like so often. And again, if you know a people pleaser, like, and you understand how it works, like, don't hate on them for doing it. Just like, and I'm not even saying try to fix them or anything. I'm just saying that, like, just be understanding, because, like, as much as you want to hate on the idea that this person is people pleasing for whatever insecurities or fears that they have, and that's kind of what it ends up being, is that they have a fear of things like abandonment, a fear of danger, you know, and I've got friends like this, and it's in the weirdest way, you know, like two really 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 good friends come to mind, people I consider best friends, and like no matter how much I tried to help them overcome it, right? That's like they still ended up falling in deeper to the people pleasing. And I'm not saying that's the end result of all people that people please, but the result that I've started to see that's pretty consistent when it comes to people pleasers is that over time, over time, they keep showing how much they care, keep showing how much they love you and respect you and all this stuff, and you reciprocate that as, oh, this person is very, affectionate for me and likes me, and so I'm going to show the same back, right? Because you're kind of just mirroring, like, this person shows how much they care, so I'm going to show how much I care. And so whenever they seem like they offer a lot, I also want to offer a lot. But then like, kind of what jumbles up is that they kind of actually feel pressured when it comes to how much you're offering. You offer a lot, but they actually feel pressured because their whole, like, paradigm is to make sure that people are okay with me, people blah, blah, blah. But if I'm offering, like, my guidance or servitude, or hanging out with them, and whatever it be, is that they feel like the pressure to actually let their guard down, the pressure to actually be able to hang out with someone, because they're trying to keep the perfect face mask to make sure that no one gets in so close that they actually realize that, I have these flaws, and if they find out these flaws, I'm going to get abandoned, right? And so it backfires on them because they end up meeting people like me, I guess, where I'm more than happy to hang out with people, and and even some other people that they love hanging out with people. The thing about people pleasers is they're trying to keep that wall up. They're trying to keep that wall up about being kind, and and it all leads back to, like, their anxiety about abandonment and things like that. And then this is another thing that ends up happening because of that pressure. Now that they've got pressure when it comes to um like you offering back, they feel the pressure that that if they give into the pressure, in a way, they don't really see it because of what they were doing, right? So it's more like they're people pleasing, they're offering and offering, offering, and then other people started offering to them, offering, offering, offering. But because they're a people pleaser, they feel the need to say yes, right? They feel the need to say yes, and then what happens? They are in constant anxiety of hanging out with you, or constant anxiety of feeling the pressure that they're gonna let guards down, and that anxiety just keeps building and building and building, and in some weird, funky way that they start to basically resent you, which is the weirdest. It's the weirdest thing. But if you think about it, like you keep offering to hang out is pressure to them, but they don't link it back to the fact that they were offering in the first place and they were the ones people pleasing. And in your own way, you're just pleasing them back, right? You're just kind of reciprocating that they're people pleasing, you know? And then there's another part where it screws them up as well. So there's that point, so they offer so much of their service and then you offer it back and then it feels like pressure to them and then they resent you for that. And then there's the other one, which is the other group of people that happen with people pleasers, is that when you're a people pleaser and you keep pleasing someone, they kind of just start to like take you for granted and they stop like actually really genuinely thinking of you as an equal, because it just seems like you're just like this. I don't know. uh, Again, it's not like a help. I'm not saying that these people are good either. I'm just saying that um as a people pleaser and you lead up to someone that basically just takes advantage of you, right? And you basically become their little like puppet or like submissive little pet, and then you lead yourself into another spiral of you know like just using so much of your energy for someone that doesn't even care that much about you. And this is where respect comes in, and this is where you need a form of respect when it comes to interacting with people, is that a people pleaser needs to earn their respect back so they actually have some self-esteem, so they don't feel the need for some other one, like for someone else to validate them, because they're constantly looking for people to say, oh, this person's nice and kind. But the respect aspect is that you can validate yourself and this person can respect you and not take you for granted. This person can respect you and respect your boundaries to make sure that you're not feeling like you're being pressured to do things, right? Like peer pressure. And so in both scenarios, the people pleaser gets fucked over. And now I know it's not easy to actually overcome this, but the the biggest stem is to not take on people pleaser as like the title, to like just say I'm not going to be a people pleaser anymore. No, it stems down like things. When it comes to psychology, there's levels, right? And we have to stem down to the level that makes you wonder why you're going to get abandoned in the first place, right? You feel like you're going to get abandoned, but if you have enough education experience, you know that a lot of people don't just abandon you for these reasons. You can gain respect and not be abandoned. You don't have to please and just overly compliment and overly express and not get abandoned, right? And yeah, this video, it's mostly to make sure that, if you're not a people pleaser, to understand how a people pleaser works and kind of like just be understanding, right? And to not overly pressurize them, because they're still people like you. They're just caught up in a level of anxiety, right? A level of anxiety that makes them feel like they're going to get abandoned. And like just have some empathy there. Yeah, have some empathy. And then if you're someone that takes advantage of someone, like, come on, stop. Like, I know you got your own problems and someone probably took advantage of you, but like just empathize. Right? That's a lot of the problems in the world would be fixed through empathy. So yeah, I got two friends that have basically like pretty extreme people pleaser issues that led towards basically isolating themselves. Funny how that works, right? The people that want to hang out with people and have them love them, they end up being the people that isolate themselves and avoid all contact. And you probably know someone in your life like that they're originally someone that just goes out of the way above and beyond for people, and now they avoid people like the plague, right? And that's because they've just built that level of anxiety and pressure about abandonment to the point that they, in a way, abandon. Not, I'm not saying that they abandon everyone, but in a way that they've abandoned their social life to go hide in a corner away from everyone, which originally stemmed from the fear of abandonment. Weird, eh? Like it's just like a full circle kind of thing. But yeah, I'm not saying that this is the only way that it happens, but in terms of my, I guess, anecdotal evidence, that's pretty much how it seems to start to like manifest. Like, if you're a people pleaser, how do you overcome that anxiety of fear of abandonment? I mean, psychologists would help. Often enough, like they might be able to get to the bottom of it. Some psychologists are not built like others, which is why if one didn't work for you, it doesn't mean that another won't. And sometimes it can take months, sometimes it can take years. But if you're someone that's trying to do it on your own, that can also just take a very long time because it's very hard to actually do it from like a third party perspective on your first, you know, because you're perceiving in first person all the time, so you can't really get a third person perspective, and that's what other people are for. What it stems down to is basically trauma, and trauma is just an extreme version of it, like a reaction to something, right? And so when people say like triggered, that basically means like an intense version of a reaction to something. So an intense behavioral reaction, like fight or flight. That's a trigger to make sure you sprint as fast as you can, or a trigger that you're gonna stand your ground and fight. And you see it when people get like triggered, is that they're in a mode to fight, or or they do something like flight and they panic and start crying or something like that. You know, like whatever they believe is going to help them out of that situation, and that situation has been like a recurring thing for them. And the best way to overcome it is to understand the most you can about the situation, which takes back to the anxiety and the original reason why the triggers started popping up in the first place, which for someone that people pleases, it's often something like fear of abandonment, a fear that someone doesn't like you, fear that someone might end up hating you and they might end up hurting you or something like that. And so you feel the need to make sure that people don't hate you, hurt you, abandon you, right? Recognizing, going back into the basics, making sure that you actually understand that sometimes it's actually okay for some people to leave your life, and other times it's okay to just take care of yourself rather than overly offer, because your overly offering has like a diminishing return in a way. Like sometimes, and it's a bit like, imagine if you're receiving imagine if Christmas was every day and you got presents every single day. The meaningfulness of it is just quite diminished because it's just a thing that you kind of get every day. It's like mail in the mailbox, right? But seeing that Christmas is only once a year, now it's a lot more meaningful when someone gives you that gift, and it gives you a lot more. And that's part of why when it becomes people pleasers, they're basically like the mail in the mailbox every single day. They're like, people are just like, oh, okay, whatever, right? It's understanding the value of the effort that you put into a relationship, and understanding that it doesn't have to be a constant all day every day trying to please someone, because you actually got a diminishing return, and sometimes it's a extremely negative return. and it's just because you've managed to mix up the value of what you're actually acting out. You're actually doing all this extra stuff, which is actually giving you a diminish or negative return. And so in our minds, we can actually identify that this stuff that we keep doing is actually going to increase our odds of fear of abandonment. This is actually going to increase our odds of someone not liking us. It's going to increase our odds of us not liking someone. It's going to increase all the odds of some bad thing happening. And this is how we stop ourselves from people pleasing. And this is how we start to actually understand what a good relationship is. And that's often built on something called respect, which is abstract in its own way. But to simply put forth this video, because that would be kind of outside the scope of the video, is that respect is basically not doing this people pleasing stuff. You have no respect for yourself. You don't believe that you're good enough to stick around unless you do this stuff. Your self-esteem is low because you're doing this stuff. Because you're constantly in this state of fear. You have low respect for yourself there, in that aspect. I'm not saying in other places of your life, just the aspect that you feel the need to keep people pleasing. That's a low self-esteem, low respect for yourself. And people mimic. The way that you treat yourself is the way people might also treat you. So if you treat yourself with a low respect, others will treat you with low respect as well. If you're just the same mail in the mailbox every day, they're going to see you as the same mailbox in the mailbox every day. But if you treat yourself as something special, like a Christmas or a birthday, well then yeah, they're going to respect you at that high level as well. Right? And that leads into all this extra confidence and respect and all that stuff. But that's just like a small example of how you might be able to start to overcome your people pleasing issues. And again, if you're not someone that's done this and you know people like this is like it's not like a small subject. I'm just giving you a head, maybe like a tip on how to start to tackle it. Understanding the value that your actions of people pleasing is actually doing the opposite of actually what you're trying to get out of people pleasing. That's like the number one aha moment to actually make you stop people pleasing. That people don't actually enjoy you as much if you could just keep doing this, because often it comes off as too try hard or too too much like you're trying to be nice, and rather than you're actually nice. And whereas respect, you are actually showing your niceness and you're doing it in your own time because you respect yourself, and they can respect that you respect yourself, right? Because they experience the same thing. They want to be respected for their time, right? Not sure if you guys all got all of that, but it's a work in progress. I'll obviously be releasing more videos on this, so hope you guys enjoyed this episode. So